What is wrong with you?
I don't know.
Is a mime? Is a mime? Yes, a mime is good. That's what it sounded like. What you said. It sounded like you said, "Is a mime good?"
Is a mime good? Hey,
is a mime good?
Yeah. Hey, that's a good T-shirt right there.
Oh my
All
God.
right. So now, when do we talk about Fred being part of a Caledon?
I don't know. Why are you?
Council?
I was hoping. I don't know. Did we have to? What were you complaining about?
Well, no, Howard. I don't want to stress you out with that story. Do we have to?
Do we have to?
No, forget it. No, it's not worth that.
What was
it? It's not worth putting you through that.
Okay,
so
hold on a second.
No,
you're still
not
a
worth
little
putting you through.
You're
that.
still a little overmodulating.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's like it's just on the edge.
I'm lower than I usually am now.
Well, okay, go ahead. You're perfect here. Pump
right.
it up a little bit.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Right. Did you accomplish what you wanted to at the meeting?
No, I want to. Now I want to know. Now I'm curious.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. No, there's just some development around here in Caledon, South Caledon, that could affect the community I live in from a density and congestion standpoint. And I had some questions to ask, so they send a thing out to your house, and you can either go to the town hall meetings or whatever they call them, or you can sign up to go online, and they invite you into the meeting, through a webcast or something.
Right.
WebEx.
Yeah.
So I signed up for that, and they can't tell you exactly when you're going to be on. And the meeting started at 7, and they started off by saying there was 30, I guess I was called a delegate or something, 30 delegates, and they had no idea how long the meeting would go, and they really couldn't provide an order of those that would be called upon. So I was into it for about an hour and a half, and it was mostly, and listen, the world needs tree huggers. I understand the world needs tree huggers. But it was just a steady flow of these 60 to 70-year-old, I would say, tree hugger type people who the world needs. I understand, and again, they serve a purpose. And if it wasn't for them, a lot of stuff would get paved over. But they were getting up and they weren't asking questions; they were delivering speeches. So on and on and on, and then I took a break for a while. And then I come back, and some guy was given a history of some town in England that went through the same thing, and it was just I give up, and I bowed out. About an hour and 45 minutes into it, theoretically, based
on one question though, like why did you have to turn your volume up? Why
did I have to turn my volume up? Because they had this thing that you could adjust.
Oh, I see. Okay, so only because it doesn't sound to me like you ever got a chance to speak.
No, it's like Zoom, where you can adjust things. Yeah, and it said now adjust your volume, and I had to get the VU popping up a bit. So, I bowed out, and there's numbers you can call. I just had a few questions. That's all I had. I just had a couple of questions. That's all I wanted answered. I didn't know it was going to turn into such a major production. And I took the attitude, there's so much pushback on this thing from all these people that my little voice would get lost in the
That's
in
right.
the sea of controversy.
You're quiet as a mouse voice.
Would get lost in the sea of controversy that, with or without me, these people are pushing back big time. So we'll see what happens. And that's my story.
Well, that's a great story. Dan?
Well, good for you. Getting involved. I love it.
Dan. Is mime good? Is mime good? Me here. Are you there, Dan? Are you here?
I'm ready for the show.
Well, listen, Fred, are you not a fan of the Earth?
It's precisely why I became involved, Howard. Because there's a little tract of land in behind me here that has coyotes and deer and in marshland. And one of my question was, why would that be on the development list when there's so much land in Caledon? What they want to do in Caledon has always looked down their nose at Brampton. You know Brampton's reputation.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I live here along Mayfield Road. On the other side of Mayfield is Caledon. If you live there, you're cool. But if you live on the south side of Mayfield, you're not so cool. You live in Brampton. And what Caledon has done, they get pressure from the province to build housing. So they're ramming it all down along the Brampton border.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And I know that view from your house looking north, I guess, has always just been undeveloped Caledon land. Do you really think the people in Caledon look down their nose at you?
At Brampton?
At
Yes.
Brampton?
Yeah.
Where would you have gotten that from? From the Caledon? Like, is there a newsletter? is there something that people say, hey?
Oh, you pick it up over 25 years, Howard. Intersection here, Kennedy and Mayfield. The northwest corner, they built some houses. And that whole development was spun on, this is Caledon, not Brampton. So if you move here, your address will be Caledon. You will have a Caledon address.
Do you think that makes
very important?
Does it make a difference in resale? Like if you're in the
yeah.
across the street, if your house, the mansion, Patterson Mansion, across the highway there, you think it makes a difference?
Yeah, on some level, I believe it does.
All right.
And get a load of this. If I lived 500 yards to the west and just north of here, my car insurance would be 1/3 less. Because a Brampton address just kills you with car insurance. It's the highest jurisdiction in Canada for car insurance.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I'm telling you, brother.
Well, that's a lot.
So this is why Freddie gets involved. This is why Freddie gets involved.
Well, listen, man, it's a shame you never got a chance to speak.
Yeah,
because that's when your voice is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, let's start
for wetlands. I'm
save the wetlands.
Yeah.
Save the actually, it's save the Fredlands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right on. This is it.
Dan, once you start the show, I will tell you about my most recent visit to the Fred Manor.
Oh,
yeah.
I know you.
I was over there. I was over there on Friday. It's quite something. It's quite something.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's quite something. It's quite something. I can't wait to hear.
No, the whole vibe of the place is just so serene and beautiful, and everything is just... It really is. I don't know if
it is?
Like, you come over here...
Well, how chaotic is your house?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You come over, it's chaos,
Okay.
you go over there, it's like being in one of those atriums. It just feels like
It's like you're floating.
That's right.
That makes it sound nice and homey.
It does.
Fucking atrium.
No, it's very warm. An atrium is warm, and it's... Everything's in it. Okay. Yeah.
Malls have atriums.
I don't know about malls. I'm not saying your place is like being in a mall. I'm just saying the whole vibe of the place. Let's just start the show.
Okay.
This episode of Humble and Fred is being broadcast to the world from our state-of-the-art Humble and Fred studio in Toronto, from our Brampton Atrium with a soon-to-be-open pool, and from Peterborough at Lisa's dining room table next to trendy black sticks in a vase. I'm Dan Duran, broadcasting live from the Jennifer Kelly Zoom Theater, and brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, 4-on-1, Bodog, and Lender's Choice Mortgages. And now here are two men who have wild mood swings when it comes to certain professional athletes performing poorly, yet maintain a calm, cool demeanor of loathing when it comes to religion and politics. It's Humble and Fred.
Thank you, Dan Duran. Dan, I got a couple things on the show today just for you. Just for you.
A show designed for a type like me.
Well, it's not. It's so much design, but I came across a couple things, and I was like, "Oh, this will be fun to play for Dan." And we've got a bunch of audio today. One of the things that I'm going to play was submitted by one of our longtime listeners, Keith Weiland. Sent something to me. Also, another listener, Bill Shaput. Sent. We're going to play a little audio from him. That's audio sent to us, but for you, Dan. And a couple other things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing anything about the Patterson family experience. The home. Okay. I just, whenever I'm there, I just get a warm feeling. I'm trying to be serious. Mm-hmm. God, you never want to be serious. I just get it's such a warm environment. You always leave feeling better than when you came. Nothing. Nice. And the house is just, everything is just in a, it's very pristine, and it's all very, it's very warm, but yet well appointed. I don't know what I'm saying. I just had a good vibe there. Sorry for the good vibes. Plus, Dougie the dog was there. That's Dan Patterson's dog. That's Fred's son Danny's dog, Doug. And that dog is insane. How fucking sweet it is.
Oh, I know.
So sweet.
Face. I know.
Now, Dan, I know you're, I don't let dogs lick my face, but I defy you. I defy you to get anywhere near that Dougie dog face and not want to fucking kiss it.
No, it doesn't work for me.
What do you mean? What part of it doesn't work for you?
Well,
what? How can it not work?
That's been working over, the rear end of the dog gets cleaned up with the tongue, and transference of whatever's going on down there through the saliva and the goo. Ugh. Why would I want that on my face?
You never let Clifford lick your face at all?
No, never. No, maybe a cheeker once or twice.
Wow, man!
Would you ever kiss him, like the side of his face or head or something like that, or do you not go near it at all?
Well, I would not really kissing. Lots of hugging and touching and comforting. And that kind of thing.
I'll tell you what. The Fredmen and I are aligned on a lot of things, but in this particular case, we are on the very same page, because you saw how I am. Well, you see how I am with most dogs, but that Dougie the dog, I mean,
yeah,
it was getting distracting how much I was. I literally sat on the floor almost the entire time I was in the house with a chew toy in my hand, playing with that dog.
No, I know. He's a French bulldog, for those who might not know, and that face is something else, and to kiss his little jowls and stuff, they're so soft and sweet. I remember Clifford. I used to kiss Clifford, like on the side of his mouth, closed, and then I used to like to get Clifford and like sort of kiss the top of his snout between his eyes. He loved that. Just kiss him there.
Well, when Clifford was here in his final days, I mean, I've known Clifford his whole life too, not as close as you, but I think sometimes like Clifford would kiss me like with his tongue, lick my face, because he was so desperate for face
for love.
He was so desperate for affection. It was like, Howie, come on over here and let me lick your face. So I played with Dougie for quite some time on the floor, and we kissed. I kissed his Doll's so funny because Doll, like, I haven't been around Doll much in the presence of her grandchildren. I haven't, just circumstances. But I can tell you, the way that Dolly is with that dog is very funny. She even said to me, Howie, just touch his cheeks. It's very soft. Just like, okay, doll. And so I was letting Doug lick my face. We were playing like that, fun little growly, sort of play fighting games. Then Charlie came over. So that was Friday. So Charlie, my daughter Charlie, came over on Saturday with my grandpuppy, and the dog hung out for a couple hours with me and Stan. And that dog and me, even though it's small, it's a Chihuahua, but that dog, Dan, that dog gets right in there. Like Freddie, it is a little bit much, because that dog does nothing but lick your face, and it's so little that it sticks its tongue in your nose. Yes, it does, Dan.
Yes,
it's a bit much.
In your nose.
Yes. Like you just was like so excited to see Grandpa that it will sit on my chest and just go. I said, it's even a little bit much for me.
That's just gross.
I had a dog growing up, Barney, that used to do that. Lick your face and her tongue would go right up your nostril.
Oh, yeah.
She loved it. She was into salt, And
I was reflecting back on... because Fred and I have a very distinctive dog voices. Fred, I say the same thing to dogs all the time, including my own. And so does Fred. Fred has also a unique thing that he says. So, do you know what it is, Fred? Do you
offhand? No, I don't know where you're going with this. Well, what do I say?
Well, I always
don't really hear yourself.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I think this is relatable for a lot of people because, if people could hear how I talk to my dog when I'm by myself, it sounds insane. But one of the things I repeat every day is, who's a good boy? And then I always say, rhetorical question, it's you. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Who's my good boy? And Fred always says, what do you always say?
Oh, he's my boy.
He's my boy.
He's my boy. You know what I also say? And I used to say this to Billy, and the kids mock me or mimic me. I used to say, oh, my girl, Billy, oh, do you love? Do you love? That's I used to say, I say that to Doug now. Do you love? Because he loves everybody so much.
Yeah. You say that to Stan too. Do you love? Do you? So, and I was thinking about that yesterday because I was thinking back on as I was leaving your home on Friday, and I sort of gave Doug back to you after hogging him for and whenever I was there 45 minutes. I literally never left him, and I heard you use that voice. I'm like, that is so funny because we both have. I say this, and I was saying it to Stan yesterday, thinking about this, and it is when I say it, who's the good boy? I'm not really expecting a response, but I think Stan's in his head going, that's a rhetorical question. Because I'm the only one here.
You talk about Doll, too. It's like, Dougie, I guess he will be 3 whenever that is. But he had major surgery. He had a slip disc, problem with those dogs, and had major surgery. And he's recovered for the most part. He's a little weak on the hind end, and we're hoping it's a full recovery over a year or so. But Delise is just so protective of him. It's unbelievable.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Don't let him do this. Don't let him do that. Carry him up the stairs. Carry him down the stairs. And it's like, I'm of the mind it's a dog, and the only way it's going to get better is let him do some things now. Seriously. I know not crazy things like slippery stairs or something, but carpeted stairs or the wood stairs behind the house or whatever. But it's like she just hovers over him, so afraid that he's going to re-injure himself.
Yeah, why don't you explain to Dan and everyone else what you've got, what Doll has set up in that little sitting room?
There's a chair. He likes looking out the front window. So she set up this thing where he can step on a cushion, then he steps on an ottoman, then he can step up onto the chair. So there's no trauma on each step up to the chair.
It's trauma-less. Anyways, Dan, do you not relate to when you see a dog, do you not just want to I don't know, man.
No wonder Clifford loved me more than he loved you, Dan.
He was so starved. Somebody love me.
Right.
Oh. Well, I just I never just got into the pissing saliva thing.
No,
that was gross to me. That was all. But
I do that joke. I say, there are only 2 types of people in the world: those that let dogs lick their face, and the others that are dead to me. Charlie is like you and I, Fred. She's enthralled with that dog. It's so sweet. We were sitting laying there on the couch just hanging out with the 2 dogs. Because the funny thing is when Billy's here, Stan becomes more involved because he wants to hang out with Billy. But, Charlie is... you can just see she's I don't know how to say this. She's going to be 30 this year. And I can see her nesting instincts, she's treating that dog like a kid. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not hard.
No, I know.
Especially when they're tiny and, and a little bit vulnerable.
And she's dressing up the dog all the time. I mean, it's pretty funny. Okay, so that's the dog thing. I took Fred and Delise. This is Dan, this will be a continuation of the Fred and Delise section of the program.
Right. The visit.
I had to drop over for some Humble and Fred business, and then I took Dolly and Fred for a ride in the self-driving Tesla. It was quite the experience, was it not?
Oh, it was fantastic. It's just absolutely hard to believe. It really is. Because, again, it's a throwback. Kids that grow up nowadays, they can get their head around this type of technology and maybe on some level take it for granted, but for us who grew up, with our fathers driving 1965 Chevy Impalas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To now be in a car that you literally touch a button and then take your hands and feet off everything, and then it drives and changes lanes and stops at stoplights and turns into parking lots and then parks all by itself. I don't know, it's happening in front of you, but it's almost like you can't believe it or something, because, I've talked about our parents that way too. I mean, they went from like no cars, no planes, whatever, to whatever. My mom died, in front of a computer. So how it changed for her, how that has changed for us, just adds to the wonderment of it all to me. Like,
interesting. That's my perspective as well. I was watching a movie that was shot in 1997. It was sort of a sequel-ish to The Fugitive with Tommy Lee Jones, and it was called U.S. Marshals. And I'm like, I kind of remember that movie. It was pretty good, but it was set in 1998, and the cars that were on the road in 1998, I wanted to take a picture and send it to Spencer, because that was the year she was born. Pardon me. And because they were, I should take a screenshot and send it to you guys, because what cars looked like in 1998 would blow your mind. Just the low tech, the shapes of them. Forget what they looked like when we were kids, because that's like out of a 100-year-old movie. But in 1998, cars weren't as advanced looking as they are now. They certainly weren't advanced technologically.
Let me ask, and there's no answer to this question, but if in 1998 or 2000, Y2K, somebody had said to you, and I know it's even prior to 2024, that by 2024 you will have a car that can drive itself, would you have believed it? Could you have got your head around that? Because sometimes you can't speculate or sort of prospect on something like that, because you don't really have much of a reference point. Like,
I think it's a great question, and I would answer it this way by saying I could have probably got my head around it from a futuristic, that might be available, but I wouldn't have thought it would be available to me.
That's it.
Yeah. Lifetime.
I wouldn't have thought that somebody, an average schmo, could somehow have access to it.
Right. It's and as you said, that technology, too, is with these cars, everything's built in on the assembly line because it's so cheap, really. And then to use it, you have to have it opened or subscribe to it. I find that whole concept amazing.
Yeah, the software part of it.
Well, just think of when we grew up. If you wanted a vinyl roof, they had to put it on. You wanted air conditioning, they had to put it in. On and on and on. All this stuff is manufactured with it all in there, and then it's up to you whether you want it unlocked or opened. I find that amazing. I really do.
So, Dan, I remember when I first when I first had access to it, because my month free is running out. I'm not gonna take it. Although now it's available as a subscription and not as a buy it. It's way too expensive, or I thought it was. But I took you for a little ride around the neighborhood, didn't I?
Yeah. I got to witness parking.
Yeah, the parking freaks people out because you just press a button and it parallel parks. It'll back into a parking spot between two cars. I took Doll and Fred. We stopped at a grocery store parking lot and just sat there while the car, went forward. The wheel turns. I think that when I show people that and the fact that it changes lanes on its own is pretty bizarre. But I won't. I don't. To me, it's too expensive. But now they're trying to make it less expensive. It's about I think this subscription is $99 a month. But I would say this: if I have to go on a long road trip again, or I do some, a bunch of trips, in the golf world, I would definitely get it for the month. Because having it drive,
it doesn't have to be like a 1 year subscription or something. It can be a month to month kind of thing.
Yep,
on and off. That's great.
It is great.
So, Howard, and how do they unlock it?
Just they send a signal to your car.
It's just
no, I know.
Just
like
something else.
It's just like when your satellite dish or something gets new. Remember, you could authorize channels. I don't know. I haven't got one anymore.
But say you're I was going to say a traveling salesman.
Yes,
with the fuller brushes.
Yeah,
that's right.
But just think if you do drive a lot for your job or whatever, or as you say, a couple of times a year you drive to Florida or whatever. How handy that would be, because a lot of those, I-75, I-95, a lot of those highways between cities are just wide open space, right? Where you could just click that thing on and sit back. It would be tough not to fall asleep. But again, it doesn't even let you do that. Explain that.
Well, first of all, you're right. And when I drove to North Carolina a couple weeks ago, it was in the long stretches in between cities that I let it drive. And I was showing Fred that there's a camera inside the car that if you get distracted, like if you reach for your phone or you did fall asleep, a message comes up, Dan, saying, take control immediately. And if you get 2 or 3 of those messages in a section, it will disable the self-driving mode until you stop the car and start again. So it makes you pay attention. Like I did the first couple of times I tried it. I was like, I just checked my phone, and then the message came up, and I was like, how does it know? Well, I'll show you the camera on the middle of the car where the rear view is. So, from a safety standpoint, I think it was you, Fred, or somebody said that there's all these reports of accidents. Maybe it was Dave. Accidents that have been had with self-driving cars.
Oh, that wasn't me. No, I don't know.
But it makes sense. Like, of course, there's going to be accidents where people are dicking around with it or they're not using it properly. But like, I don't think its benefit is in the city so much as it is in long stretches of road where you don't need to be on it all the time, right?
Yeah, but there's 2 dimensions to that. Like, you put that, like, as you showed me, it changes lanes, and if a guy comes close to you, it changes lanes again or whatever. If it could tell somebody wants to merge, it backs off. What it can't prevent is somebody driving into you,
No, that's true. There's a whole bunch of accidents. It's not, but as far as, Dan... As far as
malfunction, you mean?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, as far as going into somebody, it will stop. Like, I've been in traffic.
Chances are slim, man.
What?
Chances would be very slim for that thing to drive into somebody.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what it does do is, if traffic all of a sudden came to a stop, it comes to a stop. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I see we've lost Dan. Dan's completely checked out.
I was just going to say that what
it's okay.
What can happen with it is like the trolley problem.
What is the trolley problem?
Like it's one of those things. What if you're going to kill somebody? Which way? Like, there's a group of people on the side of the road or something, or there's one person in front of you, and your car is going to kill one or the other. Which one do you go for? So that decision has to be made somehow internally, or you take over the car and make that decision for the computer. But that's one of the issues when they're
I'm sorry, I don't understand. Why are we killing people? What is this story?
No, a choice has to be made.
What is this story about? We're killing people. So if we're going to kill somebody, we have the car choose which one?
Yeah. Well, you don't know the trolley problem?
No, I don't.
Look it up someday.
What
is that? It's a streetcar. It was a series of experiments that was done where a guy's in the trolley, and you are in the trolley, and if you go one direction and the track split or something, and you'll hit one person if you go one way, then you go another person, you hit 10 people. So which way do you go? You go to the one person, you're going to kill one person. Mm-hmm. But what if that person is your sister? And then, so would you kill the 10 people of your sister? It's like
fucking right, I would.
Yeah, Dan. Here's a question. Foreshadowing for later in the show. If that person's Hitler, would you kill them?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a bunch of thought experiments. I'm not probably getting it exactly right, but the point being is that the computer has to decide in a situation where somebody's going to get hurt. I get it. I get the. Right?
I get it.
Here's a question for the Humble and Fred staff here. Fred just mentioned his sister. For 50 points, Dan Duran, can you name Fred's sister?
Oh. No, it's not coming to me.
For 27 points, can you name Fred's brother?
Yes. Oh, come on, Dan. Joe. Yeah, Jesus Christ, you know the guy. For Christ.
I know the guy. I have his. When he left the park, I have his trees.
For 50 points, Fred's sister. I don't know. I'm. Let me try. Mom was June. I'm going to say sister was not Karen. Kathy.
Karen.
Fuck what? Karen. Dorothy. I have no idea.
Dot, you mean?
Dot. Is her name Dot?
No.
Wow.
What is it? I'm blanking on it. That's why I wanted to see if Dan could come up with it, and then I wouldn't be so embarrassed.
It's one of those things. When you ask, then your mind
Well, listen, I'm trying to think of I know your brother's name is Tom.
Right.
And Bella was your mom. Cliff was your dad. Belle was your mom. Cliff was your dad. What's your sister that passed away? I know her name.
Heidi.
Mm-hmm. And then your other sister's Maggie or something.
No.
What's her name?
Jody.
Jody.
I'm surprised you don't know those, Howard. Jesus.
I know.
Wow, I would have thought you with Dan right up and down the list because you knew each other since you were youngsters.
No, I know.
But then again, Dan was always... It's not like Dan lived around his siblings.
Yeah, as you know, other than the 4 months I lived next to my older brother, I haven't lived in the same place as my family for 40 years. So what is your sister's name?
Same here.
Nancy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We do this. You know what? Probably now once a year we have a blank. We blank on Nancy's name.
Well, it's good we're getting caught up.
Yeah.
I was speaking to Nancy this weekend, catching up with my sis. Lives out in St. Catharines, enjoying her retirement. Oh, yes.
But to be fair,
grandchildren, huh?
To be fair, we don't really discuss Nancy and Tom on this show. Nancy and Joe, as much as my brother Steve comes up because he participates, and of course my older brother comes up because he's smart and he's been on the show and he's there. He's around.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because I know my sister would be nervous, but my brother, he talks. He's got opinions.
Why have you never suggested we get why can't Joe come on the show?
Oh, I guess I don't know. I don't know. He's just sort of not that type. That's all.
My family is, us Jews, we love to chat it up. Mm-hmm. Hey, Dan, I'm going to play you some audio. My brothers and I are you on a family chat with your family?
Me?
Yeah.
Not really, no. I'm on a kind of a sort of a little bit with my brother, the Daily Wordle. But
you don't have are you on a family chat with your family, your kids?
I'm on two. I'm on a family chat with my family.
Right.
And then I'm on a family chat with my family and Doug's family.
Okay.
We're all on it.
So my brothers and I are on a brother's WhatsApp and often share little, tidbits back and forth. And Edmonton Steve, shared this yesterday evening, also known as last night. It's my dad's answering machine. Mm-hmm. I've played it on the show before, years ago when he sent it. Mm-hmm. But I shared it on the family chat that I'm on with my kids and my ex-wife. And for some reason, it made my daughters sad. And they were worried that I was sad. It was kind of weird hearing his voice again. Because this is the only audio that any of us have of my late father. This is his answering machine.
Hello, Lou here. I'm tied up just now. So if you leave your message message and your name. After I hear the beep, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Bye now.
Crazy, huh? Do you remember that? Do you remember my dad sounding like that? Because it's almost like he's from the 1930s. Hello, now it's got some kind of like, hey, listen.
Hello, Lou here. I'm tied up just now, so if you leave your message
just now
and your name after I hear the beep, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Bye now.
What a sweet guy.
That's nice to have.
Yeah.
I know we have lots of video with my mom and dad on it, but it's just getting it transferred. Plus, I need a cart machine because I have some classic. I have stuff with my grandmother that was on CFNY on cart that I would love to hear again. Can't find a cart machine.
Well, I've made
that, Howard. That's a gem. That's a great thing to have.
But that's it, though. Like, and I've made this point.
Yeah, do you need any more, though?
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice.
And I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say because we've had this conversation before.
That there's
and it was
thousands
so obvious
of hours.
Yeah, pardon me?
No, well, I'm sorry, because the part I was going to bring up is how many is, you know, if this is Danny and Mel and Charlie and Spencer and Colton 30, 40 years from now, there's thousands of hours of us, including this conversation.
I know. A lot of it regrettable, but
that's right. Wait till they hear shits and dicks.
No, I know. Honestly.
Yeah.
My great-grandchildren, you know, they'll never know me, but yeah, that was your grandfather. Shits and dicks.
That's
cocks
right.
and tits. And anyway.
Yeah. Was that late? No. Let's listen to Granddad's bit about tit cock. That's let's get that on.
No, what I was going to say, we've had this conversation as well, is... and again, the industry we worked in, and so often dealing with people that passed away, and then you play, famous people, and then you play clips of what they may have said. How I didn't, over the years, just stick a microphone in front of my dad and interview him, just ask him some questions, just for that reason.
Yeah,
how that didn't go through my mind. You know,
I know.
Like even goofy stuff. Just have a conversation with him on tape. For May and John would love to hear that.
What about you, Dan? Do you have any audio or video of your dad or mother?
Yeah, here and there I do. And my mom, when I was on the Deanie Show, went on the Deanie Show, so I know I have that tape somewhere stored. I sat down, and unfortunately, the tape is. It's gone missing, but I sat down with my dad and two of his brothers, and we just talked around the table because I had a microphone that I put in the middle of the table.
Oh, wow.
And they were all talking about, I asked them about their first cars, and they all had stories around how they ended up with their first cars, and that was kind of interesting. And,
That's great.
My dad was born in the 30s, so he was the youngest. So that was an interesting conversation. It's somewhere I have that on tape, and I'd love to.
Well, I have something with Lou. When my dad came to Toronto to visit, and then he and I went to Scotland, and thanks to your ex-wife, she marched us up to first class. It was so great. But I was still doing the Deanie Show then as well, and somewhere I have the tape of Deanie introducing him in the audience during my segment.
Oh, right.
My older brother, and again, every time this conversation comes up, David sat down with my dad and did about a 15 or 18 minute interview with a camcorder back in the day, and it would be great, except the audio didn't work.
Oh, damn.
So he did what you're talking about. He interviewed my father about his life and whatever, and there's no audio to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So unless I hire somebody that can read lips, I'll never know what he was saying.
And again, how this stuff comes up, it's like I'm in the garage, I guess in the fall, and I see this cassette, and it says Florida 1988. So I have a cassette machine here. I put it in. My mom and dad went to Florida. Now, in 1988, my dad would have been 63, 5 years younger than I am now. But he and my mom went with to Florida with Harold and Aileen Brownlee. And I don't know if anybody from that family is listening. Anyway, I play this tape, and what it was an audio diary that Harold did. My dad's not on it. My mom's not on it. But Harold is doing an audio diary. Oh, it's a beautiful day, and there's Dick down there by the water. He's fishing again, and I think we're going out for dinner tonight. We might try that buffet down the road. Anyway, I would love to put that in the hands of their family. Like, it's great for me because I knew this guy, but I don't know how I would just love to give them that cassette because it goes on for about 45 minutes, but it would be a treasure to them. Because in retrospect, the way we're talking, you just wish you had so much more of that.
Well, absolutely, and you've told that story before, and I remember.
Oh, have I?
No, because the same way I've told this story about how my brother fucking doesn't have the audio. So I've listened on. Go ahead. No, I was going to say on satellite radio there's an ad for something called the Legacy Box, and what it is.
Yes.
Basically, Dan, they take all your old photos and all your old videos and whatever, and they digitize it for you so that it becomes something as you can keep and hand it down and whatever. And every time I hear it, I had this idea many years ago when I had my little stint as a video producer. Those years I was working for that company and producing corporate videos, and we were sitting around one day, and I said, what would be a great idea? Would be to do just what we're talking about, and it might have even called it something to do with legacy something, but it was to interview your parents, your grandparents, the elders of your tribe, well, now of course the technology is everybody can do it, but at the time I thought it would be a good little business model where you do that, where you set up a sort of a corporate video and interview these people, so that you can have it for the family to keep. Because I know, given the business we've all been in for 100 years, how we miss that is beyond me.
Right.
How that never occurred to us at the time. My dad was in town lots of times where I could have, I had enough equipment at home where I could have taken him downtown just to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Well, in this room next to me right here on cart, I have my dad. And I think this predates you, Howard. When I used to do the afternoon sports comment, my dad does the promo, and the jocks used to play it. It's my dad, like 15. Coming up is my son or Freddie's sports comment. And we used to play that. And then I had one from my grandmother, too. It was just weird. It's there, and I got it, and I can't listen to it. It's frustrating. But
well, for a long time on the show, I can't, and I think just when we got that Hot Shots machine, and for you people who are not in radio, it's it's this. It's just a series of buttons I can press digitally. Well, I had one at the Edge, and I had your mother on it.
Yes,
saying he's an asshole.
Yes,
and we played it for years.
Yes. All the time we had my mom on the show. I don't know where any of that tape is, but remember,
exactly. Think about how many times. Anyways, listen.
He's an asshole.
Every time we have this conversation, it's similarly frustrating. Anyway, Dan.
Yes.
Before we move on, I know I'm always anti-religion and. There's no this and that, and gods are all blah, blah, blah. And, I know when you hear that, you're like, oh, yeah, well, what if you're wrong, little Jew boy? Is that what you're thinking? Anyway, one of our listeners, Bill Chaput, sent something that I thought would be of interest to you. It's Louis C.K. asking the question, do you think there's a God?
Do you guys think there's a God? How many of you, by applause, believe there's a God? How many people? All right, it's about 30 out of 1,400. That's nice. That's nice. That shit's over. It's just fucking over. You go to a church, it's like going to a roller skating rink on a Wednesday. It's like, this used to be something. What happened? I don't know. I don't think there's a God. And that's not a conviction. I just don't suppose. I just reckon there ain't. I reckon there ain't no Lord. And because I don't believe there's a God, I fucking hope there's not a God. I fucking hope. Oh, please. If you don't believe in God, you better fucking hope. You better get on your knees and pray. Please, God, don't be. Because that's a bad thing to be wrong about. That's a bad wrong. You're an atheist your whole life and you die and you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, you're shitting with a beard and everything. Fuck. Oh. Yeah, I'm going.
There you go, Dan. When Bill sent that, I said, "Oh, I got to play that for Dan."
That's great. Yeah.
There you go, Dan.
Yes.
Will you return? And
I will. Yeah, there's some news that's happened out there, so let me find it.
Right,
and then we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Well, because when you return, we're going to bring up something that has been a bit on our show for a while, and our friend, Darren has reminded me, and we'll bring it back because there was some discussion about whether or not you would kill Hitler, and your reticence about killing Hitler became a source of hilarity on this program.
Right. Got it.
Okay.
I can't wait.
So that's coming up.
Okay.
Also, Howard, speaking of Nancy, this just came in from Hyundai P. Nancy McLeod Elder about Howard Stern had President Biden
I heard
on his show. And did you?
Yeah, I heard some of it, yeah.
I mean, as crazy as the world is, that could be a game changer. I mean, that reaches a lot of people.
I want you to go I want you to go find it, but I want you to see if you can find some video of it because you will not recognize Howard Stern.
Why? Did he cut his hair or something?
No. I mean, in demeanor and and how he dressed, he wore a suit. He wore a suit and fucking tie because
were they in the same room?
Absolutely,
right?
They were.
Oh,
and he's back. His Stern's back in his studio. He wore a suit and tie, and looked like to me had a little bit of makeup on, and it was. I kept looking at it, thinking, the metamorphosis of Howard Stern. He's got the President of the United States in his studio, and it was fascinating.
And that's brilliant from Biden's standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
Too. On two levels. Number one, to do it, because to reach that audience, which is vast, and could be a lot of independents in that world, and it would drive Trump crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Drive Trump crazy. Although I have knowing Stern, he's probably got the invitation out to Stern or to Trump, but would he take him up on it?
I don't know about that, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Okay. Because he was so anti-Trump and so.
Oh, was he? Oh, okay.
He was so pro-Biden, including like the listing, all the accomplishments. Like he really did Biden a solid.
Isn't that significant?
Huge, man. Anyway, go have a look.
And then you got fucking idiots like Joe Rogan. Oh, Biden doesn't even know where he is.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what. I listened to Biden on Smartless and listened to him on Stern. Mm-hmm. Yes, I admit his voice is weaker than Trump's.
Yeah, right.
100%. He's a soft-spoken 80-year-old man. But what he's saying... Oh, the other thing you should go watch is Biden at the Correspondents' Dinner this weekend.
Yes, I want to see that.
Again, yes, is he soft-spoken? Is he an 80-year-old man? For sure. But I tell you what, he hasn't lost his faculties.
Yeah.
And it's nothing compared to that fucking Gettysburg bullshit.
No,
nothing as wacky as that. So, yeah, there's some stuff for you to look up.
It's weird for me. I can't even, and it's bad because you can't really have an opinion on somebody unless you listen and give them a chance. But when I see Joe Rogan now, I can't even stand the sound of his voice. I can't. I don't like the look of him or the sound of his voice because he is such a fucking idiot. The path that he's gone down, it's just wild. But anyway,
Yeah, the problem with me is I still, and it irks me, but I still have a lot of respect for him as a stand-up.
Sure, that's fine.
Because I've seen it. He is really, really funny. Now, the fucking thing he's doing on his podcast, hard to explain because I don't listen to it very much.
But doesn't that add to the tragedies a bit?
The curiosity of it, for sure.
That he's because listen, good comics are smart people. There's no debating that. That's what's weird about it. Because you say he's a great comic. You can't be a great comic unless you're a clever, smart person. But the road that he's gone down with this other shit it's crazy.
No, I know. And not only is it crazy, it seems so out of character for him, for me, because like when he was on Fear Factor, I didn't really know much about him as a comedian. But then I've watched hours of this guy's stand-up. And I could never really reconcile the character he was on Fear Factor with who he is as a comic, because it's completely different. But then, there's this character he plays on his podcast. Listen, speaking of this podcast, gets stitched together by a group of us, and of course is supported by these fine folks. Freddie?
Well, Bodog, whether you're a sports bettor, a horse racing fan, a poker or casino player, Bodog, your number one source of online gambling entertainment. From their industry-leading odds, world-class sportsbook to their fully loaded casino and racebook, they've been providing Canadian players with an unparalleled gaming experience since 1994. And just looking ahead, tomorrow night's game in Boston, Leafs and Bruins. And again, I maintain I wouldn't be surprised if the Leafs won that game because that's what they do. Then they'll bring it home and lose the series, at the Scotiabank Arena in front of people that have spent $1,000 for a ticket. That's what they do.
All right.
And anyway, Boston is a slight favorite in that game. Bodog.
After I talk about the amazing Mike Kazarian, I want to talk about what I saw watching that game the other night. But first, let's talk about something more pleasant. That's like renewing your mortgage, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. But this year and next, millions of Canadians just like yourselves are going to be doing it. And we'd appreciate if you support the people that support us. And that, my friends, is Mike Kazarian, owner and broker of Lender's Choice Mortgage. Independently operated and owned, member of a Mortgage Alliance, license 13582. I think by now you understand that just going the regular route, that's fine. If you want to pay more, you don't really care about, what kind of rates you get or what kind of terms are out there. But if you're one of those people that want a little bit of a different experience, and by different, I mean better, why don't you talk to somebody that's got access to over 75 lenders? They shop around for you. You're not going to call 75 different lenders. Let Mike and the folks at Lender's Choice Mortgages do it for you. They're going to work with the lender that makes the most sense to help you achieve your goals. They can find a solution, is what they do. They will find a solution for all your mortgage financing needs. Mike at lenderschoice.ca or lenderschoice.ca. It's just worth a phone call. Get on the line, have Kazarian talk you through the process, even if you're not ready to do it now. Mike at lenderschoice.ca. Just quickly getting back to Stern for a second. There's no doubt about it. The man you're seeing in his studio is an old man. And yeah, I can see why some people would be nervous, because if he's old now, what's he going to be like in 4 years? Yeah. So to me, that would be, that's a pretty, I heard somebody say this, not sure if it was in response to Stern or not, but they were saying it's just too bad he's not 20 years younger or 10 years younger. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit younger than 80 years old. My dad died when he was 84. Joe, there's a high probability that Joe Biden will not make it to the end of another term. It's not like a maybe, it's a high probability. So there's that to be considered.
Yeah,
all I want to say.
Some Trumpers, including the guy, Jason, wasn't we had on last week?
Yes.
Yeah. And, Bill Barr has come out and, he's condemned Trump, says he's not fit for office and all this stuff, but says he will vote for Trump.
No, I saw that interview. It's crazy.
These spineless, disgusting weaklings. That's what they are. Anyway, but you want to talk about lesser of two evils? What you were just talking about. Okay, you give Biden's profile, but lesser of two evils. Do you want a guy that's insane?
No,
I'll take the old guy. I'll throw my money behind the old guy and, take my chances with who might be vice president when we know who that is, or the next person that becomes leader or, of the Democratic Party. I'd throw my money that way before I would take a chance on maniac man.
No, I'm not just, but what I agree with you, obviously, but I've said it is a consideration for a lot of people down there.
Mm-hmm. It's just funny with that Jason guy too. It's funny. It's I listened to a bit of that again, and he's just so wrong. And I knew that would happen. He's uninformed. It's weird. He's an uninformed guy. And if he's listening today, okay, come back on the show or whatever. We can discuss that. But it's just frightening how it's not so much uninformed, these people, is they don't want to hear the other side. They don't want to hear it. They just want to go with their guy and...
Well, and in Jason's defense, he's uninformed, but versus a lot of people down there, he is informed. He's informed with the side of the argument because, we could have gone down his list and shown him how the Joe Biden presidency was way better than the Trump presidency, especially for people like him, because the people that got the tax breaks under Trump, and I don't want to get into this too much.
No, I understand.
But the people that got the tax breaks under Trump wasn't him. It was billionaires.
And all I would say about Stern is, you know, lots of Trumpers listen to Howard Stern. Will they listen to that interview or just choose not to listen to that one because they don't want to hear?
Okay, let's talk about something that may or may not also get us all excited. So I wasn't really, I don't know why, maybe because of your influence, but I just wasn't really that into, because I usually, the last 3 seasons or so, at least, as far as I can remember, I've watched the Leafs in the playoffs. And I watched the first game because I was in North Carolina, and my buddies from New Brunswick are Bruins fans. I grew up as a Bruins fan, so I'm like, okay, I'll peek at this game a bit. And then didn't watch much until Saturday night, and I watched the first 2 periods, and then I stopped watching after they were down 3-0. All I want to say is this, from a casual, very casual observer, and I want to get your thoughts. And I do also want you to inform me as to what happened there when somebody threw a shit fit on the bench. But what it looks like to me, as a casual hockey fan, is that they don't do the special things when special things are needed. And what I mean by that is, like, Boston had a couple of, like, gritty goals. What's his name? Van Riemsdyk? Is that his name?
Former Leaf.
Yeah, former Leaf. Mm-hmm. Like, they did a couple of things that were needed. Not that they were that special. But what I mean by that was, like, the Leafs just don't look like they're ever going to do, like, that something great's going to happen. They just look like, and I said this to maybe you guys, but on our little chat, but they look like, to me, and we talk about this in golf psychology all the time, they look like they're playing to not play bad, versus Boston looks like they're playing to play great. What do you think of that?
Oh, yeah, as a team, there's just a huge character flaw. I mean, when you draft players, a lot of the great organizations, they look beyond talent, the character. And they blew it with this hockey team. And I'm going to be honest with you, I did not watch 1 minute of that game Saturday night. It was never on my television set. I sat and watched 3 home and garden TV shows with my wife while that was on. My only reference to, the shit fit you talk about on the bench was what I saw in replays. Because I don't like this team, I've told you, because of the character thing. to me, the story of this team now is the overriding thing. To me, this is almost a 30 and 30 type thing for ESPN now at this point, with what this team was supposed to be, who they drafted, how much they paid them, and what it has turned into. It's a great story because they're going to this team is going to get blown up. It's not going to be what it is now going forward. And maybe they'll slip in the standings. Maybe they'll get better. Who knows? But when they get eliminated tomorrow night or Thursday, there will be a massacre down on Bay Street. I'm sure Brendan Shanahan will go, and Coach Keefe will go, and one of the big players, I think Marner will probably go. Anyway, that's the story to me. Now, as far as what you just said, yes, and that all comes down to character. They don't have it within them. Our captain is 33 years old. You don't know he's on the ice. Boston's captain's 35, and he's controlling the game. He's putting the team on his back. Why? Well, I just want to slip in for that because what's his name? Marchand? Yeah. Who's a rat and you can't stand him.
Dude, he's
wonderful hockey player.
Great. I don't even get, I'm not a Leaf fan, so I understand. I get why he's hated, but the reason he's hated is why you'd want him on your team.
Because he licked people on the ice. Well, I remember he's the guy that licked somebody.
Okay, well, you can't be licking anybody. Well,
you can't be. Unless, I think his dad probably had a talk with him.
Unless you're a dog. You can only lick people if you're a dog. But he's the kind of player that he's relentless is what he is. And funny you mentioned that. So I started watching Tavares, and again, as a casual observer, but I know the game enough. Yeah. He is not relentless.
No.
And I know, listen, maybe Boston's figured out the Leafs, but the Leafs had the second highest goal output, didn't they, in the regular season?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
And they can't, and they don't look like they're going to score a goal at any point.
No. Because we've talked about this. Basketball to some extent, no other sport changes for the playoffs like hockey does. You know that. I know that. Brendan Shanahan knows that. Leaf management knows that. All management around the NHL, the successful teams, build their teams for this time of year. The Toronto Maple Leafs are woefully inadequate when it comes to doing what needs to be done during the playoffs. It's pathetic. Like, even William Nylander misses the first 3 games of the series, and we don't know exactly why, but now we're hearing migraines or something, and that's great. I know it's 2024, and they take greater precautions, but to think a player in other eras would miss games for certain reasons like that, and maybe that was wrong and dangerous back in the day. It's just hard. It's like us seeing the evolution of technology. To see the evolution of hockey players, for us it's like, really? And now Austin Matthews misses the third period and may miss the next game because he's got the flu or some ailment, and it's like, we come from an era where you hear about guys playing on broken legs or shitting their pants between periods, and again, whether that's right or wrong, it's just hard to get your head around this.
What was the thing on the bench that somebody threw a shit fit? Somebody got into an argument.
Well, Mitch Marner, as I've said too, he's useless in the playoffs. And on Saturday night he was handling the puck too long, and then he's giving it away, and it seemed to become a problem for Austin Matthews and William Nylander. So they got on the bench, and you could see Matthews say something to him, and then Nylander looked at him and said, you could sort of make out what he was saying. He said something to the effect, "Stop crying, bro. This ain't the juniors."
Wow.
And then Marner turns around, takes his gloves off, and throws them on the floor of the bench, like a little hissy fit. And then Matthews doesn't come out for the third period because he's not feeling well.
Wow.
And and again, to me, this is a remarkable story. Like, the Leafs had never ever in their history had a bona fide superstar. They haven't.
Oh, yeah, you said that the other day.
Yeah. So they get this Austin Matthews guy, and then they draft Mitch Marner, and he gets all these points, and William Nylander's good, and he goes through contract negotiations. Then they get the number 1 free agent, John Tavares, and we're all drawn into this. Well, Mike, this is going to be great. We could probably, if we don't win a Stanley Cup with this team, we're going to be contending with it. And none of that has happened. And I think it's a fascinating story. Why? Like, why? Where did it break down?
Yeah, and we're like, again, I've only got a small sample size. But I've watched enough of these games over the last 2 or 3 springs that it's not just this year or last year or the year before.
No.
And there's all these legendary losses late in games. And, you know, I can actually, you know, that incident on the bench, you can almost forgive that because people are pissed and it's, you know, it
happens. Yes.
Yeah, it's emotional and you're fucking upset. By the way, just pause for a second. I was somewhere on Saturday where they had some sports memorabilia. Yeah. And this was before I'd watched the game on TV that night. When did NHL gloves or hockey gloves in general get so small? And explain to me why they're so small. Because when we were kids playing, they came basically up to the middle of your forearm. But now they barely cover your wrists. And I think I know the answer, but then I noticed it's universal. They all have small gloves now.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say maybe the protection they wear down their arms or whatever, maybe.
And I guess it must give them much better mobility or whatever. But you reminded me of that when you said he threw his gloves down.
And, you know, they don't allow the chopping and hacking like they used to either.
Right.
A lot of those rules have changed.
So where does it break down?
And then people want to blame the coach. Well, okay, another coach that can't coach. Okay, how many of those have we had? You know, management. Okay, management sucks. How long? I don't know. But this one bothers me more than any because even those teams that lost in the past in the playoffs, often a lot of those teams overachieved. We had a collection of guys and we thought, whoa, these guys are really playing well in the playoffs. Probably can't win a cup, but geez, they're playing well. We never expected this. This is completely different. These guys just absolutely cave when the going gets tough. They can't handle it. It's weird.
Well, and if people think you're overstating it, and not that I did, just hear me out. I didn't think you were being like dramatic or, you know, if you think Fred is overstating it, watch a game. Like I was, you know, Saturday night, I thought, okay, I'm going to watch this until they were down 3-0. I'm like, okay, well, this is over now. And when you watch it, it's inexplicable that a group of guys this talented can be this ineffective year after year.
Like the vaunted power play. For years, this core had a great power play. They were near the top of the league. And then about halfway through this season, it caved in as well. And now they're 1 for 14 in this series. Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares, what's the defenseman's name? Morgan Riley. It's like none of it makes sense. And you know, and again, not to blow my own horn, you know that chat room we're in, radio guys, right?
Yes.
Well, scroll down to what I said after the first game. I said the Leafs will split in Boston, lose 2 games at home, probably go back to Boston and win, and lose in Game 6.
No, you were right.
That is unfolding exactly the way I called it right now.
Except I think you're going to be wrong. I think they're going to lose in Boston.
Yes, maybe because of what happened, but
I think they're done.
Oh, I do too, and it's just. And again, I don't know. I get almost emotional when I see the kids at Maple Leaf Square and all these people wearing their, like, going to the grocery store on Saturday, everybody wearing their Leaf sweaters and their Leaf hats and the Leaf flags on the car and the people that spending $1,000 for a ticket and all the concessions, and this is what they get in return.
And you've said that before, and I respect it. Yeah. Because you've got a big heart, and I know you, and I know you're sincere when you say that.
Yeah.
But you're forgetting the fact that those people are doing it regardless of who's on the ice. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's disappointing that they're not what you'd like them to be or what they should be. But the people that are supporting them, they're getting their money's worth out of it. because
I hope so.
Listen, anyone who's wearing a jersey or going down to Maple Leaf Square, yes, they want the team to win. But like, I can just tell you by the tone, like we're on, Freddie and I and Dan and a few of our friends from the radio days are on this chat together. And the tone of that chat versus the tone of my golf buddies chat, who are Leaf fans, completely different. They don't see it as, as pathetic as, you are, and that I've seen. Excuse me, do you want another story about the NHL that's different than what we're talking about?
Sure.
Amazon has linked an NHL streaming deal. Since I got this story last week, they've also made, they're close to closing an NBA streaming deal. Rogers and the NHL have agreed to sell the exclusive streaming rights for all regular Monday night hockey games to Amazon, marking the league's first exclusive broadcast deal with a streaming service in Canada. The deal, which is the latest in a string of pacts between pro sports leagues and streamers, will cover the next 2 seasons. And now, since that story from, I guess it was Wednesday or Thursday, I guess they are very close to either they're close or they've inked the deal. They've closed the deal with the NBA. So I thought, okay, here's something interesting that's not. Again, could you have imagined years ago that you'd be able to go to your first of all, to have Amazon streaming movies and whatever, but a streaming service that would now be in the live sports business.
Well, they're already in it with the NFL,
right?
But the one thing about the NFL deal, and I'm wondering about this NHL deal, is say Philadelphia is playing Baltimore or Philadelphia is playing Los Angeles in the NFL. Those 2 markets show the game on free TV, and then they black out the rest of the country so that you have to pay for that stream through Amazon. And I'm just wondering, because I can't imagine on Monday night if the Leafs are playing, I can't watch the game unless I have Amazon. So it'll probably be a similar thing, where the markets involved get free TV, but then the rest of the country, what might otherwise be able to watch the game for free, would have to do it through Amazon. It's a bit of a concern because you wonder down the road whether this will be our new world that you have to pay for all sports.
So in the wording here, it says they're selling the exclusive streaming rights, but that's streaming. Marking the league's first say, I don't know. I mean, that's a good point, I guess, that if you're in the local markets, you probably still, they would geo-block it so that, or unblock it, geo-unblock it so you could watch it.
Well, no, you're local. It's like regional games now. You're regional, like TSN would show the game. Or not TSN or Sportsnet would show the game, but just to this audience, just to the regional audience.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Somehow they see your... Yeah, you would just watch it on TSN. It wouldn't be on...
Yeah, because they do that. Like, they do that now, TSN Sportsnet, right? If it's a regional game, if I'm in Manitoba, I put that channel on and it says this game is blacked out.
Right.
So they have that ability.
Did we talk about this? I know you and I talked about it in person, or did we? About Bob Cole. Did he die since we last did a show?
Yes, on Friday or something. Yeah.
90-year-old Bob Cole. Toward the end of his broadcast career was having a little trouble, but like a lot of those guys, certainly the voice of our hockey youth. And how long ago did he retire?
Oh, he was sort of pushed out about 3 or 4 years ago.
So he was still doing it into his mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
But again, a lot of people looked at it as respect. It was like they sort of shoved him out because he was making a lot of mistakes.
Right.
And it was like, Bob, apparently he didn't want to, but it was like, if we let this go on, he's just going to ruin his legacy. He was on his way to doing it anyway. But, so I think that was done out of compassion. But it's a bit weird for us in this area because I grew up with Foster Hewitt and Bill Hewitt. As Bob was doing games across the country to other markets, we had the Hewitts. So didn't have the same. And after the Hewarts were gone, of course, Bob became part of Hockey Night in Canada. I get that for 30 years, but my roots of play-by-play, my fondest memories come from the Hewitts, not from Bob Cole. And Joe Bowen, who's good too.
Who's the main guy now? Who was I listening to on Saturday night? It's
Chris Cuthbert.
Chris Cuthbert
lives just down the street here from me.
On Brampton side, or
Brampton side,
Caledon side.
Mm-hmm.
What's he making? Well, he's got to be making a lot if he's living in your neighborhood.
Yeah, you'd think, eh? Yeah.
No, legit question. We're like, what kind of, like, Ron's still on there? He's making $750,000.
Yeah, I don't know what they would pay the play-by-play guy. Not what Ron's making, because they don't pay what they used to, but he does well. For all I know, he's a freelancer who gets paid by the game. Who knows? I don't know.
All right. Here's how we get paid. We have sponsors. They're very nice people. And then you support them, and they continue to support us. And you, the home listener, gets free content.
I can get to
Fred Mann.
Okay, let me just call something up here, Howard, because I want to get it right.
Diving in too deep.
The retirement Sherpa. Tim is a portfolio manager. Raymond James, a member of the Canadian Investors Protection Fund. This week on the show, they will talk. He will talk insurance. Investments.
Perhaps it's just
you got to keep your mind on insurance. That's all you got to do, man. You have to have the proper coverage. Do you have enough? Sometimes do you have too much? What is best to meet your needs as far as the type of insurance you have, on and on and on. And people don't often realize that. Investing involves insurance. Think about it. And the Retirement Sherpa will talk about it on Wednesday. RetirementSherpa.ca.
Alone between the sheets.
Love this man.
Only brings exasperation.
I love this version of this song.
It's time to walk the streets.
I'm going to play you a song here as soon as Dan gets back.
Smell the desperation. At least there's pretty lights.
I wanted to mention that you've already talked about Bodog.
Yes.
But, part of our responsibility is to let Bodog talk about Bodog. So here's that.
As per my last email, we are on board.
Looking for a fast break from working so hard? When you're ready to box out some time for fun, you know it's time to play. It's easy to find your next favorite game at Bodog.net. We make getting the latest basketball odds and free sports tips a slam dunk. Visit Bodog.net today. #Make a play.
I'm just texting Dan here to let him know that it's time to do the news.
We're building a nice relationship with Bodog. They've renewed again, eh? Nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, another couple of months. Hey, speaking of business, that guy that sent us the check or sent us some money, I keep getting a notice that you haven't deposited it.
I know, I don't. I almost want to send him a note back and say no, but that's all. I was going to talk to you about that. I've done that purposely. I just can't bring myself to do it.
As you wish. Like, listen, it's not going to make her. Hey,
no,
it's not going to make or break us. We don't need to deposit it. I just want to know. I wanted to know if you keep seeing the notification.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
And then a couple of times I was going to put it there, and I thought, I'd rather just tell the guy, thank you for being a good listener, and we were more than happy to mention that for the guy. That's all. I'm not a very good businessman, am I?
No, you're fine. I just have to make sure that, as president of the company, that we're bringing in income. Dan Duran is back, and I'm going to get the email from our friend Darren. Hello, Daniel.
Galoyam. Hi.
Galoyam, hi.
Galoyam, hi.
Oh, God.
It's mime good.
I just got to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, I think
count.
I think being on the radio makes you nervous.
Well, around you guys, I mean, you're come in here in the midst of your big conversations about things.
So, the gist of this is, some time ago, we were having a conversation. It was just before Christmas, as Darren's email says. When, as part of your festive and joyful holiday programming, you asked Dan if we could send you back in time, would you be willing to kill the baby Hitler to save the world from impending doom? Astonishingly, says Darren, Dan was incredibly uncomfortable with the very notion of this suggestion and adamantly stated in no uncertain terms that no, he would definitely not do it, nor would he participate in such a scheme. Darren's so funny. He says, at the time he thought that maybe he was just super busy with his Christmas shopping and door-to-door caroling. He just didn't have the heart to perform the task during the holiday season. So the question Darren has for you, Dan, if on a beautiful sunny morning in the spring, you woke up in a bright and cheerful mood, feeling fresh and alive, with not a care in the world, would you be willing to flash back in time and quickly kill the baby Hitler if you were guaranteed to be back at your trailer by 6 o'clock in time for dinner?
Right. Yes. Well, the answer would be the same, because who knows if my trailer is going to be there at 6 o'clock when I get back from, changing time and everything else in the whole world.
So your worry now is that if you interrupt the space-time continuum, it might do something to you even having a trailer.
Of course. That's a pretty major change to kill a historic figure like that in the way the world's played out. It's an entirely, you're creating a brand new world, because that was so impactful to the entire friggin' world. I mean, obviously not endorsing what he did, but
you're not. I'm sorry. You're not endorsing what he did?
No, I'm pretty much.
You're withdrawing your endorsement of Hitler?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know before you come over for dinner again tonight.
Again, we talked about this before. You could actually walk up to the little baby Hitler in little baby bassinet or whatever they had back there, and they do a little Hitler stabbing, and then go away feeling good about yourself.
Wait, if I knew it was the baby Hitler that was going to become the grown Hitler, could I stab the baby Hitler? Like, guaranteed? I don't know if I could stab it, but I certainly throw it out basketball style through a window.
Or Dan, we could reposition the question. If you knew nothing else was going to change in history, would you do it? So your trailer would be there, nothing else would change, as far as your life is concerned. Your life remains the same.
Oh, my life remains the same. Yeah, no, I still wouldn't do it, because it would affect, all the way, the path.
No, but he just told you if it wasn't going to affect anything.
Well, how could it not?
Well, just say,
Dan, the question I'm asking you, just answer the question. If nothing else was, the whole thing is stupid anyway. Come on. But anyway.
Yeah, don't apply real logic. By the way, Fred Zilla, just turn your mic down a little bit, because I'm getting some. Anyway, listen to what he said. Nothing changes.
Just go with us.
Go and kill Hitler.
Mm-hmm. Well, if nothing changes, why would I kill Hitler?
To change that.
To change what?
To change the Hitler part. If nothing else but millions of people would be saved,
yes,
would you not kill the baby Hitler?
I don't think so. Not the baby Hitler.
Okay. At what age Hitler would you kill him? But not a baby. You'd let him grow up a bit.
3, 4.
I was thinking a teenage Hitler, like a fucking like a really fucking dicky kind of fucking like a pricky teenager. Was all fucker, just starting to get the mustache.
Just started to get the mustache. No, I wouldn't do it. When
would you kill Hitler?
If I was actually from that time.
Yes.
And I happened to be in a room when Hitler was the, ruling dude that was, putting all these people in concentration camps and that.
Oh, so
I
we had this.
strike
so
force
now I remember.
For
right.
Sure.
So you're like you let him kill a few million, and then you would kill him.
Not a few million, but
a couple 100,000.
Like part of it.
Well, what's your number, Dad?
I think we've had this exact conversation.
Yeah.
What is your kill Hitler number of people dead?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like I have to think about that.
Okay.
But I can't answer that. I don't know. It'd have to be like a group.
So 1,000 people killed by Hitler would not be enough for you to fucking go and kill Hitler.
No, we're getting close.
Okay.
That would probably
so
be
those first 1,000 people, fuck those people. Anyway, I found that there's a bit that I've loved by this comic that I really dig named John Mulaney. And it happened to come on satellite radio the other day. And I was like, oh, I got to get that and play it for Dan. Because it's this exact conversation.
And I don't like arguments. Some people like to argue, they think it's like an art. I don't like it. I think it's because really ordinary arguments can get really dramatic really quickly. Like I was talking to a friend recently, and I told him that I didn't think I believed in the death penalty, and my friend said to me, oh, so you're telling me that if you saw Hitler walking down the street, you wouldn't kill him? That wasn't what I was telling you. But all right. Let's talk about this entirely new topic. What would I do if I saw Adolf Hitler just walking down the street? Well, first off, I wanted to know, what did my friend mean? Did he mean that I see a guy in like the military outfit with the little mustache? Because then I would assume that that's someone dressed as Hitler. I'm not going to kill that guy. I'm not going to kill an actor and ruin Indiana Jones 5 just because I don't understand costumes. Or does he mean that I'm walking down the street and I see like an old man who I think might be Hitler based on my memory of what Hitler looks like? I'm not going to kill that guy either because I am often wrong. I'd murder him, and then people would run up and be like, whoa, you just killed an old man. And I'd be like, he looked like Hitler. And they're like, yeah, a little.
So there you go, Dan. You made me think of you when I heard that bit. And, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the mind experiment once more.
Right.
I like the mind experiments, the trolley experiment, another mind experiment. Read up on that one, see where you'd fall on that.
Right. So if you were on a trolley and Hitler was in one section, or there was a bunch of millions of people on the other section, you wouldn't want to trolley over Hitler?
No, I'd trolley Hitler.
All right. So you trolley Hitler. All right. Good.
I trolley Hitler, yeah. But that's, isolated on a trolley, right?
Okay, let's ask this question then.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Somehow you get access to the Kremlin, and you can go in a room and kill Vladimir Putin and know that you will be able to escape without anyone knowing. Would you?
Present day?
Yes.
Yes.
Right now. Oh,
yeah,
probably.
I would do that in a second.
Yeah. Hold on a second. What do you mean probably? So you wouldn't go back and kill Hitler, who murdered 6 to 10 million people?
No.
You wouldn't go back. But you'd go in present day. So okay, good. Would you go and kill Vladimir Putin if he was dressed like Hitler?
Mm-hmm. How about this? You gain through a sewer or something, or some ductwork, to the bedroom of Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago. And you can take a pillow as that big bloated piece of shit is sleeping. Get a pillow and put it over his face and hold it there until he's dead. Would you? And then you could leave.
That's a lot
and go have some oysters.
at what's the place that we like there? What's the oyster? Go to
PJ's Oyster Bar.
Go to PJ's Oyster Bar.
Oyster Bar after.
So Dan, what we're saying is first you kill Trump, then we send you for PJ's Oysters.
Yeah, PJ's Oyster Bar. Yeah. Okay. Would you do that?
I don't know. I don't know. That would be.
Freddie, I'm getting the sense that Dan does not want to join our kill dictator squad.
Yeah.
I really get the impression.
I would do that in a second.
Oh, yeah. I would dress as Hitler and go kill Trump.
Yeah.
Dan.
Cage match. Let's have a cage match with Hitler and Trump. That would be good.
Hitler, Putin, and Trump. All right. Well, listen, Dan, thank you again for participating in this thought experiment. In the meantime, there is more Dan Duran. Where this came from.
Now, here's to a fella named Dan Duran, a hell of a guy with a hella big wang, the quintessential anchor man. His voice is nice and low. Ho! Dan Duran, the anchor man comes. As for credentials, he has none. Can't tell a headline from his bum, but his voice is nice and low. Dan Duran, the anchorman's here. He's prone to falling off his chair, but he's got a big wang, so he don't care, and his voice is nice and low.
My voice is nice and low.
And now live from Lisa's house, the man that would not kill Hitler except for very specific circumstances. For instance, if Hitler was working as the quality control at some company that Dan was calling, and Hitler, I know it, Fred, I got it. If Hitler put Dan on hold for more than 1 to 3 hours, yes, Dan would drive down. That's it. If Hitler was fucking on like Bell 5 quality control, Dan would definitely kill Hitler.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about it. You know, if you're going to be in customer service and you're Hitler, you got to go.
All right. And now here with the news, views, and no ordinary man, here is TV anchor and TV series star, also as an anchor. Here's Dan Duran.
No Loblaw May. Now, I know it sounds a little bit like me here and Is Mine Good, but a group of consumers have started a following on Reddit that has 56,000 people in it right now. And they're making news today because they're tired of the high prices and what Loblaw has been doing. They're pushing for a boycott of Loblaws in May, encouraging people to use independent grocers. Ironically, that is one of their brands, Your Independent Grocer. You know how many, like they have 25 brands. Just to educate yourself, if you do want to boycott Loblaw, you have to learn which stores belong to Loblaw.
Because everything is Loblaw.
Everything is Loblaw, from Zayres to Fortino's to No Frills, Value Mart, Pharmaprix, Shoppers Drug Mart, Dominions. Like it goes on. I could do this for 25 stores.
Please continue.
Anyway,
you know what? When you go to kill Hitler, name all the stores that are under Loblaw's purview, and then he'll kill himself
for each stab.
About store 22, he will kill himself.
That's great. You know, combining problems with a final solution. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. So the interesting part about this is that, and I actually kind of agree that if you can encourage people to not shop, I mean, Loblaw and what's the other company? Empire. There's a few huge grocery companies that own most of, like 90% of the market. To encourage people, the idea of searching for other ways of getting your groceries other than going to these stores may not be such a bad idea.
Yeah.
And smaller people.
It is a good idea. The problem is people have families, they have jobs, they're busy, and when it comes to, making a point or advocacy, people will do what is, most convenient for them, at the time that they're trying to get food. Not everyone has time like you and I and this one to lollygag around and just be like, I'll drive out of my way to go to an independent store.
Well, in a lot of situations that wouldn't be hard, but I like it. I like the idea of it. If they could pull it off, that would be great. I really believe.
Well, you do. You like the idea.
It's power of the people, man. That's the only thing that works.
You like the idea of it if it's convenient for you, is my point. If you had to go way out of your way to support an independent grocery store and you passed a Loblaw's affiliate, chances are, I got to get to pick up the kids.
I know what you're saying.
All right.
But this is what goes through my mind. You talk about killing Hitler and having these dastardly thoughts, killing Trump, Putin, whatever. I was shopping on Saturday. Doll wanted me to get some apples. I look and I'm seeing they're all like $33.99 a pound or a kilogram, whatever it was. And I thought that seems expensive now. So I got these just two of the apples, because I can never trust apples in the store anymore either. Like, you know, it's like hit and miss. So I get these 2 Honeycrisp apples. I take them up and I said to the woman, how much for these 2 apples? Just, I'm curious. $5.04 for 2 apples. I said, no thanks, I don't want them. And then I went into one of my slow burns where I'm thinking, my God, like, again, it's not me. I can afford these apples for Doll. But the average family, a couple of apples, $5? You know, and the more these prices go up, the less quality and the shittier people are going to eat. You know this because of the price of food.
Well, because fast food, that's the problem in the States, and it's a problem here. Fast food is cheaper than those 2 apples.
So then I have this thing, because I had heard about this boycott. I thought, what if one day a month people just get in mobs and rush in the store and take whatever they want and leave? You know, mob mentality. Just go in and grab your groceries and leave. Yeah. Because they rob you, so once a month we get to rob them. How about that? Well, do you like that idea?
That's a great idea, you know, except for the fact that, you know, once a month is going to turn into, you know, people aren't sure, like, is this the day we rob them?
Is this rob day?
I thought this was Thursday. I thought we were robbing on Thursday. Now we're on what? I thought Thursday was a robbing day, and they just start fucking robbing all the time. Okay, smart guy.
Okay. Oh yeah, you always have to bring logic to the situation.
Okay, first, by the way, to be fair, you're the one that wants Dan to kill Putin and Trump with a fucking pillow. Okay. And now you want people to go into fucking Loblaws on a day and just steal everything. Mm-hmm. All right.
It's just a thought. I'm just being honest with what goes through my mind.
Everybody just needs to calm the fuck down for a second. Because that's not how business works. Here's Fred to tell you about how real business works, courtesy of these fine folks.
The Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan. I'm glad you brought it up, because reasonably priced.
Yes.
Okay? Premiums.
We don't want people to steal
for
from
small
them.
business. No. Reasonable premiums for small business, and they do a great job on not lifting those premiums beyond reason from year to year. They don't. It's a great way to go if you're looking for, you know, a benefits package for your small business. Go to chamberplan.ca today. Get a free quote. You know, they have this Teladoc system which works good, where you can, you know, be hooked up with the proper doctor, a doctor that could provide the the service you need specifically. It's fantastic. Oh, yes, it is. They have all sorts of therapies. They have an HR component. Oh, yeah, they have that as well. On top of, dental and medical and travel insurance that a lot of the insurance companies have sort of as the basic. It's all there with the Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan. Go to chamberplan.ca.
I was just laughing at that guy who got the day we were all supposed to go rob Loblaws wrong, and he just runs in, fills up his basket, and runs out and is tackled. He's like, wait a minute, aren't we all? Isn't this the day? All right, well, this has been a lot of fun, as always. Thanks to everybody for listening. Tomorrow I'm going to play Keith's nipple song, Dan. Look forward to that. Oh, I'm sorry. I had the wrong pod down. What's that, sir?
Oh, I was just saying it's always great to have a good nipple song.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love this nipple song.
I look forward to the newest nipple song. Is it a new nipple song?
Yeah,
or is it an old,
I think it's new to us.
Okay,
but a suggestion from our part-time music director Keith Weiland. That's tomorrow. Also tomorrow, boys. One of the guys that has been probably one of our most frequent guests returns tomorrow. Darren Frost. Haven't heard from him in a while. And then Tony Clement, who has been traveling. I saved something I saw from Tony Clement. He's doing, like... Here's the difference between us, nincompoops. Tony Clement on one of his social media said, it was a pleasure to lunch with the governor of South Gobi, Mongolia today.
What?
Yeah. We discussed economics and political developments. And meanwhile, back here in the Humble and Fred show, we're plotting ways to go back in time to kill Hitler and organizing shoplifting days at grocery stores. Fuck. That's a grown-up. That's what grown-ups do.
No, I know. It's gonna be good to have him on Wednesday and get a PP update too.
I'm sorry?
Still.
Oh, PP, yes.
PP, Pierre Poilievre, because he's still entrenched in that camp trying to get PP elected. See what he has to say about that. Still riding high in the polls, that PP.
Yeah, and as I said the other day, I mean, a lot of that is just, it's the conservatives' turn.
Yeah. No, I know.
And this is what the current Conservative Party looks like.
Mm-hmm. As distasteful as that may be to some people.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing for you to get your giant brain around. For a lot of people, Brian Mulroney, Stephen Harper, they felt the same way about the conservative of the day at that time. It's just this time now, it's a whole other face on the landscape. Anyway,
and this guy is being endorsed by Alex Jones.
Well, yeah.
A bit different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dan, I know, again, it's cloudy with a chance of a shower or two. Dan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I thought you left it up half sentence there, so I was waiting for you to finish.
Because I wasn't sure if you were still with us.
No, so you're waiting for the end of that
I'm
sentence.
Looking very forward. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll see you here today.
Yes,
at Humble and Fred headquarters.
I checked the forecast. The rain goes from 80% to 20% at 11 o'clock this morning.
Right.
So after that, I think I can probably make
So you won't drive in the rain anymore. Now I need to.
Well, severe weather is always a concern, and we're getting a lot of that these days.
Yeah, there was.
This may go down as the wettest April ever, I'm reading.
That's what I heard.
It's just unbelievable day after day after day, man. Yesterday morning, so beautiful. Heading down to Skydome. Skydome is what I like to call it. For the game, I'm thinking maybe with the roof open, but by 11 o'clock, it was raining.
I took Stan out at like 7 here in the city. It was beautiful, sunshine.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, beautiful.
Wasn't it? Yeah, yeah.
And then I drove to Milton because I thought I'd go to my golf course for a couple hours. Didn't play, just practiced a little bit. As soon as I got west of the 427, gray, overcast, spitting. Yesterday afternoon, showers. Last night, hard rain here in the city. And all I could think of is, there's no way we're seeing Dan Duran today. My boy Dan's not driving in this goddamn weather.
No point in putting yourself in danger.
Exactly.
And it's not so much me. It's the other people.
Exactly.
Don't know what they're doing on the roads.
So if you were in traffic and you saw Hitler... All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for downloading this program. Support our sponsors. And we are working on something. By the way, I can't remember where I saw this. I don't think it was an email. But somebody is convinced that we're bringing back Humble and Fred's Really Tough Contest.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and we're not.
No.
Because although it'd be funny to do Humble and Fred's Really Tough Contests for people our age, they'd be like walking upstairs quickly.
Yes.
Going all night without peeing.
2 orgasms in one day.
What? Okay. What is going on over there, Shangri-La fucking Law? Jesus. What? Over there at the Patterson home.
No, that would be tough, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would be tough. All right, Dan.
Remember the days when you could have 2 in 10 minutes? Jeez. Oh, well.
Okay. I know it's time to shut it down when the grandpas start talking about orgasms. Okay, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, this episode of Humble and Fred was brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, Boron One, Bodog, and Lender's Choice Mortgages. For contests and comments, hey, this Shits and Dick Show reads all of the emails. Humble and Fred at humbleandfredradio.com. Humble and Fred at humbleandfredradio.com. Tell us what you think. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell other people about it. We would really appreciate it. For Humble and Fred from the Jennifer Kelly Zoom Theater, I'm Dan Duran. And remember, this is not the Rob Loblaws Day. So get out there and enjoy every goddamn day.
A place we saw the lights turn low, the jigsaw jazz and the get fresh flow, pulling out jobs and jamboree handouts, 2 turntables and a microphone, bottles and cans, or just clap your hands, or just clap your hands. Where's